Good evening and welcome to the National Press Club. My name is Larry Lippman. I'm the AARP Bulletin's executive editor for State News, a member of the Book and Author Committee, and a former president of the National Press Club. Our book tonight is Assignment to Hell, The War Against Nazi Germany, with correspondents Walter Cronkite, Andy Rooney, A.J. Liebling, Homer Bigart, and Hal Boyle. The author is Timothy Gay. And I'm excited to be doing this book because I just finished reading Andy Rooney's My War. Before we turn to tonight's book, let me mention some upcoming book wraps here at the National Press Club. June 14th, Liz Winstead, a comedian, political satirist, and co-creator of The Daily Show, will discuss her book, Liz Free or Die. June 28th, Commander Kirk Lippold, commanding officer of the USS Cole at the time of the attack, will discuss his book, Front Burner, Al-Qaeda's Attack on the USS Cole. On July 12, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, will discuss his book, My First Coup d'etat, and other true stories from the lost decades of Africa. On July 24, Tom Young, a novelist and member of the National Guard, will discuss his novel, The Renegades. And on September 19, Jeffrey Toobin, legal analyst for CNN and The New Yorker, will discuss his book, The Oath, the Obama White House, and the Supreme Court. If you would like to receive an email about upcoming book wraps, I believe there is a list outside, so please sign out the list and we'll keep you in touch on upcoming book wraps. All of our book wraps here benefit the National Press Club Journalism Institute, which is why we restrict outside books. Copies of Tim's book may be purchased, if you haven't done so already, outside in the hallway.
And please do, thank you.
Joining Tim on the panel this evening is Chip Cronkite, a producer, editor, and filmmaker, and the son of legendary reporter and longtime anchorman Walter Cronkite. Chip was last here as a teenager in 1973 when his father received the first Fourth Estate Award from the National Press Club. And Chip, it's glad to have you back, and don't wait so long before coming back again. Next to Chip is David Maraniss, two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, now associate editor at the Washington Post, a co-author of 2 books, and author of 8 books, including his most recent to-be-published book, Barack Obama, The Story. And next to David is Tim Wendell, the writer-in-residence at Johns Hopkins and author of 9 books, including his most recent, Summer of '68, the season when baseball and America changed forever. Tonight's author, Tim Gay, is a former press secretary for Senator Jay Rockefeller and former Congressman, now Senator, Tom Carper. He spent more than 2 years researching this book and had unparalleled access to the papers and families of the 5 journalists profiled in the book. He is a graduate of Georgetown and is currently a senior vice president at Gutko Grayling, a Washington government and public affairs firm. This is his 3rd book. He's also the author of Tris Speaker, The Rough and Tumble Life of a Baseball Legend, and Satch, Dizzy, and Rapid Robert, The Wild Saga of Interracial Baseball Before Jackie Robinson. We will follow our usual format. The speakers will discuss the book for about 30 or 40 minutes, and then we'll take questions from the audience for about 20 minutes, and then Tim will sign copies of the book. And I'll turn the panel over to Tim.
Thank you, Larry. Much appreciated. It does this Irish heart good to see so many old pals, both out in the audience and up here on the table. Just a wonderful thing. Can't tell you how much it means to me. As you can tell, perched a little awkwardly here. I managed to tear up a knee a few weeks ago. I wish I could tell you I got wounded while storming a Nazi stronghold in Normandy. But the truth is, I tripped heading toward a poolside bar in search of a strawberry margarita. It's pathetic, I know. Somewhere Ernest Hemingway just puked.
Tell them where.
There's sensitive legal matters, David, that I cannot disclose that in. It was at a well-known family resort in Florida. Wink, wink. Right. And anyhow, it really would have made Ernest Hemingway barf. Ernest Hemingway, who hosted on Christmas Day, 1944, at the Hotel Cravat in Luxembourg City, a very liquid Christmas bash for fellow correspondents. Hemingway wrote for Collier's Magazine. All the other correspondents, following a little thing called the Battle of the Bulge, were invited to Papa's party that day, including a 28-year-old United Press correspondent who happens to be Chip's dad. Oh, to have been a fly on the wall at that gathering, with SS assassination squads and tiger tanks lurking on the countryside. Papa managed to score 2 bottles of booze, despite the eggnog. And the whole thing went wild beyond midnight. The only one who did not get pretty pie-eyed, and that's a direct quote from Mr. Cronkite, was Cronkite, who had, as a wire service correspondent, had deadlines to meet that night, so could not get as pie-eyed as everybody else.
Remember that pie?
So,
The son denies it.
yeah.
Doesn't sound credible to me.
Well, that's what he told your mom in a letter, and I'm inclined to believe him. Okay. Right. Hemingway makes several cameo appearances in Assignment to Hell, none of them particularly flattering. As Andy Rooney said, you should never meet one of your literary heroes because all of your illusions get shattered. All right. I promise this is going to be a lot of fun. We're getting a lot of back and forth stuff going here in just a bit. We've got a great panel, and I just want you to know how honored I've been to have spent the last 3 years and how lucky I am to be paid to write something I care about as passionately as World War II journalism and to follow these 5 great correspondents, this journalistic band of brothers. Walter Cronkite of UP, an amazing guy. We're fortunate to have Chip with us tonight, but Chip is lucky to be here at all. His old man flew on bombing missions over Nazi Germany, tracked U-boats and those reconnaissance rattle traps the RAF had that flew at such low altitude. He was the only American correspondent to fly in a bomber over D-Day. On August 16th, 1944, he was sitting in a C-47 on a runway in Britain, set to become one of only 2 correspondents to witness what have been the incredible, dramatic parachute drop to liberate Paris. But at the last second, Eisenhower canceled the mission because the 1st and 3rd Army were advancing across northern France so rapidly. 1 month later, Cronkite got to fulfill his wish. He went into Market Garden, went into Zaan, Holland, in a glider, carrying the top command of the 101st, including General Anthony McAuliffe, who a couple of months later would become famous for saying nuts to the Germans at Bastogne when they demanded surrender. So that's just a brief snapshot of Cronkite. Homer Bigart, Cronkite's great friend, was, like Cronkite, trained by the 8th Army Air Force to fly on combat missions. Like Cronkite, Homer covered the 303rd Bomb Group out of Molesworth, and after that, he moved to the Mediterranean Theater. Homer Bigart went on 2 commando raids, amphibious commando raids, behind enemy lines, one in Sicily, one in the south of France. The first is the celebrated incident in the movie Patton, I'm sure you're familiar with it, where George C. Scott, playing Patton, lectures his underling, Lucian Truscott, and says, l'audace, toujours l'audace, courage, always courage, quoting Frederick the Great. It's a very controversial moment in World War II history. The reason Patton wanted that commando raid to move forward is that he had reporters ready to go, and he didn't want to be embarrassed and pull it back. That's why there was the great tug of war with Truscott. Bigart later covered the great push up the boot of Italy. He was on the beachhead at Anzio for 2 months and then covered the liberation of Rome. Andy Rooney of Stars and Stripes earned an Air Medal for going on 5 combat raids over the Reich, later earned a Bronze Star that he never told anybody about for his courageous coverage of the great siege at St. Lo in Normandy after D-Day. where he stood shoulder to shoulder with the two other guys I wrote about, Joe Liebling and Hal Boyle. They were all covering the First Army in that amazing battle.